And on the Republic Network now, I have with me the former Minister of Defense, the former Defense Minister of Ukraine, Andriy Zagorodnyuk. Mr. Zagorodnyuk, thank you very much for joining us.
Hello.
How do you see this playing out in the next couple of days? I mean, do you think the Russian military will move in completely into every street and bylane of Kiev? Will they circle Kiev or just keep pounding it?
There is no point for them to circle Kiev, and it's geographically impossible to circle Kiev without an ability of Kiev people to get in and get out, because Kiev is a very large and a very geographically diverse city. So certainly they will try to get into the center. They will try to fortify in the center, and they will try to storm the government buildings. But the problem is that it's so far they're not succeeding. And so far they're failing to do that. And they tried to do this starting from yesterday night. They tried to secure the airport close to Kiev, which they couldn't. They're actually losing a lot of equipment and a lot of people with the fights with Ukrainian armed forces and with Ukrainian resistance. So there is a unanimous rejection of the Russian occupation as a whole. There's a huge fight against Russian occupation right now. So for them, it's a problem, and they cannot. So far, they cannot succeed. So far, of course, I'm very careful with words because we see the situation as it develops. But so we'll see what sort of approaches they will take in the next night, because it's of course it's very dynamic. Things changing every hour.
Will the Ukrainian government be able to hold out?
Excuse me, what do you mean when? When Ukrainian government will be...
Will the Ukrainian government be able to hold out? Be able to hold out the Russian offensive? I mean, I'm told that your president is already, in a safe house kind of situation. Will your military be able to take them on directly? Or is it slowly going to give way?
No. Every Ukrainian building, every Ukrainian government building has a safe house. So that's going for like years and decades. And yes, of course he is, but he's in the same area. He's in the same government quarters. So they have enough troops to withstand a very substantial aggression. Question is whether those capabilities would be enough, how can be reinforced, and so on. So this is what gives a sort of security dynamics there. But as we could see, Russia cannot do it lightly, and they cannot do it easily. There is every absolute intention to win of Ukrainian government. As we speak, that's just happening.
You're not getting any international support militarily. How is that affecting your government and its fight back?
We have been fortunate that to have some very serious supporters from the international community. Most of all, that's United States, United Kingdom, Canada, also the Baltic states like Lithuania, Latvia, Poland, Turkey. So all countries which are understanding the real strategic challenges which Russia brings. So those countries have been helping Ukraine a lot. They've been supplying some equipment. So, for example, we now have more anti-tank weapons than Russia has tanks. So potentially that creates a very substantial deterrent effect. But as we can see, Russia moved in any case. So right now it's going to be it's going to be applied, and it is applied against Russian capabilities, and as we can see, with some substantial success. What we know right now is that those partner governments, they keep on helping us with the equipment to continue that fight. So we see how it develops, but Ukrainian armed forces so far are very confident, and they're confident in their ability to fight. Of course, Russian forces are substantially larger in numbers, and they have a very large number of weapons, and they have air superiority and so on. But that still helps. We still fight, and we're still planning to fight.
But if it comes down to fighting within Kiev,
no,
would you continue to have an advantage?
The war takes place in various regions. So it takes place. It started yesterday morning with the that phase of the war started yesterday morning with a very substantial missile and drone strikes They had over 200 strikes in around the whole country in all kinds of locations, all around the country. So they hit our airports, they hit our critical military infrastructure and so on. And then after a very short, quiet period, they started to move with the ground invasion, and that's where exactly the problem started. So of course, as you could see, Ukraine defends fiercely, and they attack from the south, they attack from the north, and more limited attack from the east. So from the three key directions. So northern is about Kiev, southern is about the key cities which they are aiming in the south of Ukraine, and eastern is there where in Donbass is happening already. So that's where we are right now.
Yeah, okay. So you said that if NATO does not step up, it is paving the way for Russian aggression from the Baltic to the Balkans. Do you think that neighboring nations need to brace for an attack from Putin? Because Putin is pretty desperate. My own sense is either he's going to completely pound Kiev, he's going to cause major civilian casualties, or he will expand the course of this battle. He will involve neighboring nations. Do either of this look like a possibility to you? Because Putin is desperate.
Yeah, he makes himself desperate, to be honest, because he doesn't have any reason for that, any valid reason for that whole invasion. And that's what shocks the world particularly, is that he has his explanation is pretty much none. So he makes up some kind of reasons for that whole campaign. And it's amazing because all these reasons are just made up. So his desperation is essentially his own problem, is of his own making. Now he makes himself desperate. That's basically how you can put it. So, but generally, yes, he wants to destroy the security environment, not just of Ukraine, but also of the whole Eastern Europe. And that's why he demanded NATO to get away from Eastern Europe, because he wanted to challenge that region with his military power. And as we can see right now, he is. These weren't just words. So he really has. He's probably stupid enough to actually do it in reality. So he can actually send thousands and tens of thousands of troops to fight, to die for some, pretty incredible, with some pretty incredible explanations why, But yes, Eastern European countries are very concerned that if theoretically Ukraine cannot fight anymore, Putin will move on. He will move on to Eastern Europe. And you would think that this is unreasonable, that doesn't make sense, and so on. Well, as we can see, what happens in my home, that's also unreasonable, and it also doesn't make sense. And he's still doing this. So Eastern Europe is very much concerned that they would be next.
Well, Mr. Andriy Zagorodnyuk, former Minister of Defense of Ukraine, I thank you very much. And let's see what happens. I hope to remain connected with you from Kiev as the situation unfolds. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
I'm